Ministers, ladies and gentlemen, Chaeli Mycroft.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for this opportunity to share my thoughts with you. I'm really excited to be here to shed some light on my experiences as a disabled person and my journey through education. I think that the issue of education for youth living with disabilities is often not addressed in the way it should be. The fact that I am here at this conference speaking about education for disabled people makes me hopeful that it is becoming more of a priority in the international community. My educational journey has been a very interesting one. It started off at a special needs school at the age of 3. At 9, I moved to a mainstream primary school because we discovered that even though the school runs a mainstream curriculum, it works at the pace of the slower learners who have learning disabilities. The special needs school catered very well to my physical needs, but academically I wasn't challenged enough. When I finished primary school, I moved to a mainstream high school. Both of these are government-run public schools. I was not supported in the way I needed, particularly at high school, and people didn't always see my contribution as being valuable. Many of my peers did not accept me, and my disability was seen as a burden to them. My right to an equal education was supposedly infringing on their educational rights. Many of the teachers were not encouraging to me, and they did not believe that I should have been at the school. A year ago, I was awarded a full scholarship to a private school, and I am completing my school career there. So I have been in almost every form of education that you can do in South Africa. It was not always an easy journey. Being disabled has many challenges other than the obvious physical issues. Whenever I found something that I wanted to do, but my disability made it difficult to accomplish, I stopped trying to do it the conventional way, and I did it differently. Everybody in my life had to adjust their lifestyles and their mindsets because of my having a disability. Living with a disability is certainly not conventional. The emotional challenges that I have faced have been much harder to overcome than my physical limitations. I believe that emotionally my disability has been more of a challenge, not only for me, but for my whole family too. The first difficult thing is acceptance. My family and friends had to accept that I would have to live differently. For me, accepting my disability was not as difficult as it is for some other people with disabilities. Being disabled is the only life I've had. I was never able to walk independently, so I don't have anything to compare it to, and I don't feel any sense of loss or unfairness, or that the world owes me anything because I have a disability. I'm very open about my disability because I believe that people need to be able to ask questions and not be afraid of offending me with their curiosity and possible lack of knowledge. I love how children interact with me because they are blatantly curious and ask every question they think of. As we grow older, we lose our spontaneity. We overthink things. Many disabled people are very conscious of their rights, and stand very firmly on these rights. I believe that my rights are equally important to those of able-bodied people. However, I think it's important to choose your battles and not fight everybody on every front. Accessibility is a big issue for many disabled people. Stairs obviously create a bit of a problematic situation for me. I think I see life differently because I have been raised to see myself as equal to any able-bodied person. And I believe that this has prepared me well for my work as an activist. Often, disabled people view stairs and inaccessibility as a barrier and a physical representation of lack of interest. I see stairs as an opportunity to educate others and engage with people who may be unaware of the inconvenience of inaccessibility. I believe that accessibility is more than just addressing the physical environment. It's about accessibility in the attitudes of people. Attitudes are important for able-bodied people to be open and flexible around disability. This also applies to people with disabilities. We as disabled people need to be more understanding around others who don't always know how to interact with us. We need to be open to educating others about our needs in a way that is not necessarily confrontational. We need to be flexible around things that are minor details in the big picture. At my previous school, attitude was a point of conflict. The school was not made accessible for me, and this caused many problems with my peers. Because the school was not accessible, the boys had to carry me up and down stairs, as I still needed to get to all my classes. The boys were not entirely willing to help me. It was only a few of them who did help, and they felt that it was unfair to them and that it was not their job to get me into a classroom. Many of the teachers did not see the value in my attending the school, and this also caused tension. It was very frustrating for me to have to fight every day for my right to access classrooms so that I could have an equal education. Eventually, it became too much, and I told my parents that I needed to move because I could no longer be in a place where I felt excluded and not celebrated for my abilities. I'm now in an environment where I am valued for my contribution, and the attitude is one where my disability is framed in a positive way, and I never have to ask people to help me because they offer. It's a nice relief. My friends accept me, and my disability is just something that often brings about very entertaining moments and memories. Going through the difficult experiences at my previous school has allowed my family, my friends, and myself to learn from the things that did not work and do things differently the second time. My being at that school has also laid a foundation for other children with disabilities to have an easier experience. I really believe that it is important to go through hard times. As a young person with a disability, I have learned that two of the most important things to have are perseverance and resilience. I have become a stronger person because of the struggles that I have gone through, and overcome. I think that many people don't have expectations of people with disabilities. And people with disabilities don't have expectations of themselves. I also think that disabled people need to expect that challenges and obstacles will arise, and we need to be able to overcome them because they make us stronger, and we will be more able to contribute positively to society if we have practiced perseverance and resilience. Education for disabled youth in South Africa is a very interesting situation. We have many different laws that protect the rights of people with disabilities and advocate for our education. But in reality, the situation is very different. We don't have the infrastructure to put the plan into action. There are some scary statistics found in the Kids' Rights Report on Children with Disabilities, which is still under development, that states that 33.8% of children with disabilities in South Africa reach the age of 20 without receiving education, and 10.5% of disabled people never receive education in any form. This could potentially be very detrimental to our futures. Besides the fact that people with disabilities are not being granted their rights, which in itself is a huge problem. A large percentage of our population is not being given the opportunity to gain skills and knowledge that would enable them to play a crucial role in their communities. Our abilities are not being acknowledged, and our possible contribution is being ignored. If people with disabilities are not given the opportunity to be a valued member of our community, they cannot contribute positively to society because they haven't been taught or expected to do so. The Chaeli Campaign has many different programs, but inclusion runs through them all. Inclusive education is one of our major drives, as we believe inclusion within education systems will lead to a more inclusive and accepting society outside of the education system. It creates an understanding and empathy amongst youth around accommodating disability and recognizing ability. This will hopefully make disability less of a taboo subject. I know that my schoolmates will leave school more open-minded about abilities of all people, and that they will be more positive about one another and focus on strengths instead of looking at flaws. The Chaeli Campaign has also started a program for children with disabilities whose parents have been told that their children have nowhere to learn. We are giving them a place to learn in their own way. No child is incapable of learning. They just learn on different levels. These children also deserve a place where they belong and a space to develop to their full potential. Education is not just for those who are doing the learning. It is also for those who are doing the teaching. Educators need to be open to different ways of teaching, and the idea that all children are different and have different ways of learning. Educators need to be open to learning themselves. This will create an environment where all people will be able to learn and feel like their contribution is valuable and appreciated. I know what a difference it makes to have teachers who believe in your abilities and more than that, challenge them. Teachers who understand who you are and what you stand for. It makes the whole educational experience much more enjoyable, instead of it feeling like a chore, as I have also experienced. When I complete my final year of school this year, I will be moving on to study politics and philosophy at the University of Cape Town in South Africa. It promises to be a very interesting new chapter in my life. I'm going to be claiming my independence further by living on the campus of the university. Because I am as disabled as I am, I will need a personal assistant to help me with all my physical needs. I will be the first person with a severe physical disability in the history of the university with an assistant to live on campus. I hope that while obtaining my degree, I will continue to change perceptions of the abilities of people living with disabilities. I also hope that I will learn more about my own capabilities and that I will be able to challenge my limitations. Last year, I was honored by Kids' Rights with the 2011 International Children's Peace Prize. This prize has opened so many doors for me. I now have the opportunity to go to amazing places and speak at conferences like this one, and I have an international platform to share my views and message about the rights of children with disabilities. It has allowed me to meet incredible young, like-minded people who believe in their ability to change the world in their own way. The prize has also made me much more aware of other young people and their efforts to change their world. Last Tuesday, fellow activist and nominee for the Children's Peace Prize 2011, Malala Yousafzai from Pakistan, was attacked. She was shot because she fights for the right of girls to education and because she refuses to bow down to her oppressors. The Taliban has claimed responsibility for this attack. Malala is 14 years old. Her bravery and absolute belief in her cause make me proud to be part of the same generation as such an amazing young leader. It really makes me believe that our generation can make a difference in the world because we have so many young people who are passionate about making the world a better place. I was taught that with any right comes great responsibility. My disability has made my education challenging. But for Malala, her education has been hindered by her social situation and the oppression that she lives under. We have been so lucky to have the opportunity to have our right to an education realized. So many other children and young people do not have this. We all have a responsibility to those children who do not have access to education, to use what we have learned and take a stand against injustices like Malala's attack. We have a responsibility to use our education to make change and encourage the people who ultimately make decisions about our education to be considerate of all children and their rights, not only when it suits their agendas, but all day, every day. We as young leaders need to have belief in our own abilities to achieve change in whatever way we can, We need to focus on making change in small ways. If we can work together to change small things, it will eventually change the bigger picture too. But for this to happen, we, each one of us, need to believe in our own power to change the world. When we believe in our own power as change makers, nothing can stop us from achieving our dreams. Thank you.